Doing live, okay?
Okay, bye. All the best.
Yeah. Hello everyone, good afternoon, and we have a very special guest today. Live, okay?
Okay, bye. All the best.
Yeah. So we have special guest, my friend Grandmaster Swapnil Dhopade is here. Hello Swapnil, good to have you here.
Hello, Atul. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you
I'm
so
good.
much.
Yeah. So this is our first show, you can say, like incredible chess show, and I'm really glad that you are here, and we will be discussing about lots of interesting games and so many things. So people are already here. I can see like Krish is here, Gauri is here, and Himanki is also here. Dynamic Chess
That's
means
great.
Karthik is also. Uh, Hello, so after long time. I think Karthik, yes, knows you. Maybe
Oh,
he
yeah,
saw
yeah,
you
yeah.
somewhere.
I think yeah, we interacted. He emailed us and we interacted.
Okay. Himanki is also here. So guys, today is your day where you can ask questions to Swapnil and he will definitely answer your questions. We will be looking at his games also. But before we go further, I want to show you some of the things about Swapnil, that what he has done. Means okay, he has plenty of achievements, but I want to show you some of them to you. So just a 1 minute. So these are the things which Swapnil has done. I know Swapnil since my first tournament, you can say, because I and Swapnil played the first tournament. I think no, Swapnil, was that your first or not? I don't know, but Saharanpur International 2003 was
Yeah. That was long back.
long back. So that was like the first tournament we played together, and ever since that I know Swapnil, and after that he played. Miss, he kept on improving, so he will be sharing us how he improved his game and everything from his game. So
Yeah. We
first of all,
grew
I
up
would like,
together.
yeah. So he became the Grandmaster in the year of 2016. I hope you can see it on the screen, right? And then he won. Before that he won the national challenges also. Right now, many people don't know about national challenges because now we have only one
One national
national.
tournament.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
before a few years there were two nationals. Means first you need to win or qualify from the national challenges. 30 players used to qualify, and then you go to the national A, which is now national premier right now. So it was a great feeling. How was your feeling after winning that national challenges, Swapnil?
It was very amazing because it was not just about the tournament that I won, but it was very important for me to win any tournament at that point because I was desperately trying to cross 2500 and complete my grandmaster title requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But you also I think know it quite well that I was trying quite hard for the past 2 or 3 years before I won that tournament.
Yes.
And even in that tournament, like I was out of 4 rounds or something, I was 1.5. So I was clearly much behind and it was not going well. So when the start of the tournament doesn't go well, you feel very demotivated and very bad about yourself that you're giving so much effort into your chess practice and still the results are not coming. So at that point I felt very nervous, very dejected, and I clearly remember that after I think around round 5 or something, I was not able to win fifth round as well, I believe. And at that point I called my parents and I said that okay, now I'm not going to continue the tournament because because it is just not coming, whatever I'm preparing, how like I put so much effort before playing this tournament, but it's somehow not coming. And I was really demotivated at that point. So I called my parents. I said that I'm not going to continue the tournament. But my parents said that okay, this is like the lowest point in your career because I'm sure that you have put in effort. So I don't think so you're going to go below this performance. So from here, whatever you score is going to be
just going up and up.
Yeah, just going up and up, right? So they motivated me. They said that okay, just take one round at a time and continue the tournament. Just enjoy the game. Enjoy chess like
I
how you.
remember this thing like every time initially your mom used to come with you, and then
Yeah.
when you're actually struggling in this period of time when you wanted to cross 2500 rating, your father was always there with you.
Yeah, true.
So
right.
like
So
I
they
think
were
he
always
played a
there
big
with me.
role in the last finishing touches, I think so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like he took early retirement because of my chess career. Like I needed someone to support me. So he took early retirement and he decided to travel with me in the Indian tournaments.
Wow.
So that really helped me achieve my grandmaster title. Yeah, and regarding this tournament, as I just said, so I continued the tournament and I managed to score point. Like I managed to win one game after the other, and I scored some points, and I finally won the
Finally
tournament.
won the wow. That's a great achievement. So guys, see, this is what you need to do. Like you have to keep fighting, keep grinding, and eventually you are going to win if you have already put up a lot of effort. So I know Swapnil is a great hardworking player, and in the next year you finally managed to cross 2500 rating. I was there when you crossed that. It was the tournament in Pune.
Right,
Right,
right, right.
and
Yes.
you even won that tournament, and one game was very special. You played against Srinath, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there's also a story behind it.
Ah,
So what exactly happened is that just before that Pune tournament, I played the Keshwananda Memorial Tournament, which was held in Bhubaneswar.
mm-hmm.
So I was leading, and in the final round, I was playing Srinath.
Hmm.
Okay, and if I win that game in the final round, I also win the tournament, but I also cross my 2500 rating. But
Okay.
at that point, I was so close to crossing 2500 that I didn't want to risk, to go and win the game. So I thought, okay, just I'll take a draw, I'll win the tournament, and maybe next tournament I'll win the first 3 rounds or something,
Yeah.
and then I'll cross my rating. But I was not able to do it until the fifth round when I faced Srinath once again. And the same story, the same moment repeated again. Shall I go for a win against him or shall I take a draw? But yeah, finally I decided that this time I'm going to take a risk and go for it.
And
So
you earned whatever you wanted to get from that game.
yeah, yeah,
I remember
I
I was everybody was actually looking forward to that game only. Like you need to win,
yeah.
and you won.
They were waiting for 2 3 games before, because if I won some previous game also, I was about to cross 2500,
Correct.
but that didn't happen. So this was a critical game, and yeah, luckily I managed to win.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. And then you became a grandmaster. After that, you were on a roll, I guess so, because in Malaysian Open also you won the championship in 2016. I was also there in that tournament. I remember.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Malaysian
and
Championship, that was
Malaysia,
a good break. That
yeah,
was a very good win.
and that was like a very high prize money tournament also. I think so.
Yeah, that was a good prize money tournament. But more than that, that was my first tournament victory on foreign soil. So
Yeah,
that
and
was very
in that
important to
tournament,
me.
as far as I remember, Sandeepan Chanda was there, and Kunir Hampi,
Humpy was there.
Grandma Kunir Hampi was also there in the tournament.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
it was a great
It was a strong
performance.
tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
pretty
was a
strong.
strong tournament.
And then you won the bronze medal in Commonwealth Chess Championship. And the best thing, as far as everybody knows, this thing, you finished third in the Isle of Man tournament in 2019. And
Yeah, that was joint third.
you were amongst the top players playing in that tournament. Kramnik was also there, and
Yeah.
I don't have that photo. I think like maybe I should have put it that thing, or maybe if you have that photo, can we show the guests also?
Okay, maybe I'll have to check. So
Yeah,
let
you
me
if you
just.
just send it to me, I will put it in on the stream so that the last what was the podium finish.
Right, right, right. So let me just quickly check it.
Yeah, yeah.
I must be having it somewhere
Yeah,
here.
and we will be looking at one of the game from that tournament, which you have sent us. And guys,
Mhm.
please have some patience. We'll be going to the games also, but we are going to know about Swapnil more, like how he evolved to this great level. And apart from playing chess, he is a great coach. He has already taught many strong players, including them. Two are now grandmasters, Ronak Sadhwani and Harshit Raja, and he is also the official coach of Indian women's team, in World Team Championship. He was there in 2000 Asian teams also. He was there, and in the previous Olympiad also, I think you were the part of the main team, right, as a coach.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As a coach, I traveled a lot with the Indian women's team. First of all, it all started when I became the second of the Indian women's team for the Olympiad.
Hmm.
And then it went on pretty well after that because they liked my work and we continued working for a few years.
Yeah.
I told I don't have the photo right now. Must be somewhere on my website for sure.
Okay, okay. Okay. While talking, you can at least explain a little bit about that Isle of Man tournament. I'll get the
Yeah,
photo.
yeah. Right, right, right. So the Isle of Man tournament actually was again a huge break because just before the Isle of Man tournament, I played the second version of the Malaysian Open, which I just won the previous year. So I
Mhm.
played the Malaysian Open Championship and I performed horribly over there. Like I lost around 30 points or something. And then immediately I went and played the Isle of Man tournament. So again, it was something like, a huge comeback after the really bad performance in the Malaysian Open. So I played the Isle of Man tournament, and luckily for me, everything went very smoothly right from the first round. I kept winning against low rated, and Then, as we will say, we are going to discuss a few games of the Isle of Man tournament in this stream,
Yeah.
where I will explain the ideas and stuff. So in those games, I won very easily against lower rated, and I also beat some of the very strong players, legends like Nigel Short. So we are going to see that my game against Nigel Short
Yeah,
here as
I
well.
have the photo for the viewers here. So this is the photo, guys. Like you can see Swapnil over there, and in the photo, Kramnik is there, Adams is there, Fabiano Caruana is also there.
Yeah, that
and
was a huge, a
and
huge break in my
Vidit is
career.
also standing next to you.
Yeah.
So it was a great tournament for Swapnil. He finished third in this tournament. And okay, so like all these things, and like I know that you got Maharashtra's highest sportsman's award, like Shiva Chhatrapati award also. So
Yeah. So that
lots
was twice, once for the player, once for the coach.
learn for the coach, exactly. So
Yeah.
lots of things to learn from you now. So we'll get to the games now. So should
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
get to the
So,
games?
yeah, we should
Okay.
start with the first game.
Yeah. So the first game I'm going to get, just 1 minute. The first game, I think we will be looking at your game against Nigel Short, or
Right.
which
I
one
think
do you want? Huh?
that's the best game to start with.
Okay, we will start with Nigel Short's game.
Yeah.
Just
It's very close to my heart, because we always grew up seeing the games of legends like Nigel Short.
yes.
So first of all, when I came to know the day before that I'm going to play Nigel Short, I was just happy that I will get a chance to play against the legend. So I was very happy just knowing that I'm going to play against him, and winning against him was clearly not in my mind. I thought I'll play a good game and let's see how the result goes.
How
And
everything.
and sometimes what happens is that when you have a huge respect for your opponent, even if you lose, you don't feel so bad because he's a legend, right?
Yeah.
So I was in that sense, I was just enjoying the game, that I had this opportunity to play against him. But luckily, the things went really well in that game, as we will soon see.
Yeah. So in this game, you are right. You can take the control of the game. Like you can go through it so that you can like pause
Right.
also whenever you feel like. And of course, like I'll be asking questions to the viewers also, and I'll taking their questions for you. Okay.
Right. So just a short pre-game story. Like when I came to know I was going to play Nigel, I quickly checked his games. I knew that he plays a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to check a few recent games, like past 2 years or past 1 year games. I quickly checked them, and I realized that in each and every game he played a different opening. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to prepare against such a legend.
Yeah.
Then I thought, in such situations when your opponent plays almost everything, he's very, very experienced than you. It's better to just save your energy for the game and just take a rest. So I thought, okay, I'll just close my laptop. I'll just take rest. I will have a good night's sleep.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'll do my pranayam and meditation, and then I'll just go and play for the game. So I didn't prepare much, to be honest.
Okay.
And yeah, I just played my usual stuff. So I started the game with
playing
D4.
naturally is also a good thing. And before we go further, I would like to say to the viewers that Swapnil has his own channel and in his academy also. Its name is Chess Pathshala, and you can subscribe to his channel. Amey has already given the link. I have also put up the link in the description, guys. So do subscribe to Swapnil's channel, and you will learn a lot of things on his channel also. He always streams instructive stuff there. He puts up the videos also which are very instructive. So do subscribe and learn from Swapnil. So let's continue with the game. Okay.
Thank you so much for the
Yeah,
shout out.
and Amaya, please keep up the links. Keep coming them. Okay.
Okay, right. So I started a game with D4, and Nigel played Knight F6. I played C4. Black played E6. I went with Knight F3, D5, and now I played G3, which is very famously known as the Catalan opening.
Catalan, yes.
Right. So here again, I knew that let's say if I'm going to play the Catalan, he plays a lot of stuff. So I didn't find any need to prepare against all his options. I thought that I'll just go and play on the board.
Okay.
So here he played D into C4, which is already a bit rare. He doesn't do this quite often.
But nowadays this has become the main line, right?
Yeah. So basically there are two strategies. One thing is that if black wants to play very solid chess against Catalan, he should go for bishop e7 and then castle. Okay. And then he can take D into C4 later on. Then the plan goes A6, P5 and try to break with C5. That's the entire strategy. And if black gets the C5 break comfortably, in most of the variations in Catalan, he's completely fine. So that's a very solid way to play against the Catalan. If you want to, go for dynamic positions where you also want to create chances out of the opening, you want to create an unbalanced game, then the right way to do it, not the right way I would say, but the usual way that people do is day into c4, immediately take on c4 and try to create an imbalance.
Okay.
So that's what I think Nigel wanted to do in my game. So he took the pawn on c4 straight away. I played bishop g2. So the idea is not to try to grab the pawn on c4 very quickly, immediately. First of all, I can also take time out to castle, and then later on I can think how to exactly win this pawn. I can win it with knight e5. I can win it with queen a4. So a lot of options.
I see these things Swapnil in many of the beginner and intermediate players games. Like if they sacrifice something by mistake also, means they don't sacrifice, actually they cling on to the material a lot, and they try to get it back very quickly. Is this a good strategy, or you should play positionally, like dynamically?
Yeah, it's very specific. It depends on it differs on position to position, but in general I think if you sacrifice something, especially in the opening, you should try to make use of the time that opponent has utilized in grabbing your material. You can use that time and try to complete your development quicker. Okay. So a good strategy in the opening is that if you sacrifice a pawn, let's say, or if you sacrifice a piece in the opening, opponent wastes some moves in order to grab your material. So you should try to use that time, that the few moves that opponent has wasted, and invest it in your own development. So try to develop your pieces quickly and then later on, once you bring all your forces into the game, there are going to be a lot of threats and you will surely win the material back.
Yeah. Good.
Right. So after bishop g2, black goes knight c6. That is again one of the main lines. And here, it's very important for white to start thinking about grabbing this material, because of course there are lines where white can just castle here straight away, but then black goes rook b8 with the idea to protect the pawn on c4 with b5.
Nice, interesting.
Right,
because
so that's
earlier, as I can see, like whenever you try to b5 or try to play b5, this bishop will be putting a lot of pressure here on c6 knight and the rook on a8.
Right, so that's why the idea of knight c6 is to block the diagonal and vacate the b8 square for the rook, so that black can play rook b8 and b5 and support his pawn. So here, of course, it's a playable position for white, where white has to completely forget about his pawn on c4 and then try to get some compensation for it. Okay, but I thought it's better to just keep the position very level, very balanced against Nigel, not to create too much imbalance. So I thought I'll go for the main line, which is queen a4.
Queen a4, just going for the pawn on c4, like grabbing it quickly.
Yeah, just recovering the pawn quickly. Black here, so here Nigel played a very rare move, bishop d7, which I was clearly surprised of. This is first of all, it's a rare move and it's clearly inferior. Okay. The main line for black is to play bishop b4 check in this position. So I'll just mention a few more moves. So bishop b4 check, white plays bishop d2 blocking the check, and black plays knight d5. Okay. And here white brings his queen to b5 with a threat to win the pawn on c4. Right. So that's the main line, and it's kind of equalish. Black has already established that he gets a nice equal end game at the end of the variations. So this is a playable line for both the sides. So this is what I was expecting, but he played bishop d7, and that clearly shocked me because it's a clearly inferior move.
Because that bishop is not doing that great job right now.
Right. And black's main strategy, as I mentioned, is that black should either break in the center with c5 or e5. Okay. Correct. If black doesn't manage to do that, he's clearly passive and he's going to suffer for a long time.
Yeah. So bishop
d7 doesn't really help in that.
Controlling the center is a very important strategy in any kind of opening.
Any kind of opening, right? So we should have some hold in the center. Right now, white's pawn is on d4. Black has no pawn in the center, right?
Yeah, and e4 can also come in the future, like if you want.
Right. So since white has a good control of the center, he is going to be slightly better. Yeah. So I grabbed the pawn on c4. Black goes bishop d6. I went for short castles. Black goes for short castle. I played knight c3, developing my knight. Now already we can see, as you just mentioned, that ideas like e4 might come up.
There, yeah.
Right. So here black plays a6. Now this is a generally useful move, covering the b5 square and preventing white from playing knight b5.
Yes.
So that the bishop won't be harassed on d6. Now the point is that I had a lot of options on how to continue. I can bring my rook along the d file in the game. Correct. I can play e4, which is also very promising move. But the problem with e4, which I did not like, is black can go e5, and after d5 knight goes back, then he'll break with c6.
So that will be very solid setup for black. Means he doesn't need to worry about it, because as long as I also remember this thing, like in Catalan, if you control the d5 square, if white is not having any kind of breakthroughs, then you are kind of fine.
Yeah, correct. And also, this queen on c4, even though it looks very active, could be exposed if I just push the pawns further.
Yes, correct, correct.
Right. So here I played the move bishop g5, which I feel is a very good positional move because first of all, it develops my bishop. But the main idea behind it is that after h6, which is what Nigel played in the game, I am completely happy exchanging the knight on f6 for my bishop.
Yeah.
Right. So the point behind it is that after queen f6, I gain the control of the e4 square, which I can use for my knight. And as I mentioned earlier, black should try to get in c5. But if a knight sits very strongly on the e4 square, there is no way black is going to get c5 break.
C5, because your knight will always control the c5 square.
Always control the c5 square. From e4, I can
And
also land
just
my
one
knight
minute,
on
Swapnil, like
c5.
I would like to say to the viewers, do like the stream, guys, whoever is here, and support the channel, because this stream is going to be very instructive and I hope that it will benefit a lot of players. So if you like the stream, then only it will reach to more people. So keep liking the stream. And one more thing, Yashad has said like he bought your chessable course on Benko Gambit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Yashad.
Yeah, so let's continue then.
Right. So after queen f6, I played rook a c1. So now the main strategy is to connect the rooks and bring them as quickly as possible in the game, because without rooks, I won't be able to pressurize my opponent. So I brought my first rook on the c file. Black plays rook f c8 because at some point he's still dreaming to get in the c5 break, which I said is not going to happen because I played knight e4 immediately, attacking the queen, pressurizing the bishop on d6, and mainly covering the c5 square.
Yeah, means your intention was not to capture the bishop on d6.
No, not at all. My intention was to keep the knight in the center, which is very annoying for black, and secondly, to control the c5 square. So I think, if whenever you prepare opening, if you have a clear strategy in mind that in this opening, this is white's main strategy, and this is black's main strategy. If you know the strategies of the openings that you play accurately, very, very well, then it becomes very easy to play the correct moves.
Correct.
Right. So I knew that black should I should prevent black from playing c5, and that's the reason why
main thing.
That's the main strategy. If I get hold of the c5 square, then I'm going to be very comfortable. I can enjoy the position, and that's the reason why I immediately exchange the knight on f6 and put my knight on e4.
Correct.
So black goes queen e7. I played knight to c5, clearly threatening the pawn on b7. Black plays rook a8. So now you can see that with my knight on c5, very, very firmly placed on that square, black's position looks very passive, right?
Yeah. And one more thing is also there, like he cannot go for b5, this kind of moves earlier, because knight d7, queen d7, and the piece on c6 was hanging basically.
Yeah, the knight on c6 will be very, very loose.
Yeah.
Right. So he cannot do anything active, and he has to stay passive for a long time. So here I played rook f d1. That's the last piece which was not participated in the game. So I decided to bring it on d1.
Bring all the toys to the party, as
exactly.
Jacob Agard says in his book.
Right. So rook f d1. Then I played e3. So here I just want to mention another important positional aspect. So let's say you have given up your bishop for opponent's knight, and you have only one color bishop left. Okay, so in this case, I have the light square bishop on g2.
Yeah, correct.
Now, in this case, you should try to place your pawns, especially pawns, and also pieces on the opposite color of the of the bishop that you have. Right. So here you have the bishop on g2, which is light color. Now just observe how I place my pieces and pawns on the dark squares. Okay.
In coming future, you mean to say, like you are already going to play e3 move, and
yeah, e3 is what I played.
Most of the pawns will be on the dark squares.
Perfect. So this is what you can also observe in a lot of elite grandmaster games, that this color strategy is very important, basically.
Okay.
Right. So black plays knight d8. I played a3. So another pawn comes on the dark square. Bishop c6, and I play b4. Right. So we can see all the pawns are now on the dark
squares. But your opponent seems to be like he is willing to exchange the light square bishop.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why you should put the pawns on the dark square. So let's say even if you manage to exchange the light square bishops, okay, opponent is intending to exchange that. We are completely fine with it, because the pawns on the dark square will limit black's bishop on d6.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's also one of the strategies. So here black played queen e8, and I placed my queen again on the dark square. Rook 8. So we can see that since he did not get the e5 break, he did not get the c5 break. We can see that he has to play on the last three ranks.
Correct. And these major pieces are also not doing anything great in the position. Like they are stuck there. And look at your pieces. Like you have both the rooks quite active, and the queen is also well placed in the center of the board, you can say. near the
Yeah,
center
also the
at
knight
least.
on c5 is just a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
Very, very annoying. And black has to remain passive. That's why you have to get your strategies in the opening right. If you don't achieve that, if you don't achieve your strategy games, especially with the black pieces,
Mhm.
then you suffer a lot.
Yeah, especially against a solid positional player like you.
Right. Okay, so I played knight d2. So as I said, I would be happy to exchange a pair
Light
of
square bishop,
bishops,
yeah,
right? And it also get rid of opponent's bishop pair, so that is
correct.
fine, a good trade for me.
And
It
your
takes
knight
it.
might be going towards like controlling the light squares, maybe means sitting on some of the light square like in
Yeah,
future.
this knight was anyways not doing much on f3, so I
Yeah,
thought I'll bring it somewhere
maybe
around
knight
e4 or
e4, knight
b3.
c4, or knight b3. You can just consolidate the knight on c5 square.
Correct,
Yeah,
yeah. So black finally goes for a5 because he knew that if I get knight c4 or knight b3, he's not going to get a5 as well,
a5.
right?
So all his
So he
breakthroughs
tried
will be
to
lost. Means.
correct. So he tried to create some activity with a5.
Mm-hmm.
Here I took ba5, queen b5. Now here it was a critical decision for me because again I had a lot of options. I can play rook b1, I can play knight to e4. All
Correct.
options are very attractive, and when you have a two or three very good attractive options, it becomes tough to choose between them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You must have experienced this in your
Yeah,
own
yeah.
games as well.
It's a lot of confusing also to select like where to go exactly.
Right. So
And
here I
one
played.
one thing is also that like we keep on repeating the variations, like we leave the variation. For that, I just want to ask like what someone should do, like if you are confused about whether I should play rook b1 or the move which you said like knight e4 or a4, this kind of moves are there. So
Right.
how to, like, we keep on jumping from one variation to another.
Right.
So
So I think it's very important to give a clear assessment to whatever variation you are calculating. So let's say if you have three options
mhm.
and you start calculating the first option which you feel should be the best move, right?
Okay,
Now
yeah.
you start calculating that variation, and
Mhm.
at the end, don't leave the variation without giving us proper precise evaluation.
Evaluation.
Only if you give a precise evaluation that okay, this is going to be better for me, you can give it a computerish evaluation if you prefer, like plus 0.3, 0.4 or something
In
like
your
that.
mind, you need to think like that.
Yeah, in your
Mhm.
mind you need to think like that, give a specific evaluation, and then you move on to the next variation,
Mhm.
right? So
And basically,
since you
we
give
need to
us
trust on our calculation also.
trust on your calculation, that is also there. So it's all a part of training. So
Yeah.
that's what I do with my students. I train them a lot in calculation so that when they play games they'll feel confident about themselves.
Good. Nice,
Right.
interesting. So viewers, you can also remember this thing like end your calculate, end any variation with the evaluation, and then only move to the other variation. Don't just keep on jumping from one variation to another variation in your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Viraj has
a4.
a question here. Why
Yeah,
not
tell me.
exchange queens on b4 now and then a b4?
Queen b4, he is not going to take on b4 because then
Yeah.
I'll play b4 and I'll defend the pawn.
Yeah.
So I'm going
Maybe
to
he'll
play.
play. He will capture a5 pawn.
He can capture with the rook, he can capture with the queen as well, because let's say queen takes, I still can't take the pawn because the queen is hanging, right?
Yes, correct.
So I'm not going to win anything. And apart from that, the pawn on a3, sorry, in this variation after queen b4, queen a5, the pawn on a3 will come under pressure because he's threatening to win the pawn
Then you
here.
will be the one who will be a little bit on back foot, because the knight on c6 can also come in the game. b6 is a threat because your knight is pinned here, so
Right.
he will be fine after some time.
Right, correct. So that's why I didn't play queen b4. I went for the move a4, which basically forces him to take on a5. That's why he came on b5
Yeah.
on the first hand, right? So here he took the pawn. I exchanged queens, and here I transformed the position into a completely different type of position. So I was playing against the break on c5 till now.
Yeah.
So here I saw an opportunity to transform the game into an end game where I'll be slightly better.
Okay.
So I played the move knight c4, attacking the rook as well as pressurizing the bishop. Black goes back, rook a8. I took on d6, and here I played knight e4. Now I'm threatening the pawn on d6. He cannot take on a4 straight away because the c8 rook is hanging.
Yeah.
Right, and he has to defend the pawn on d6.
d6. Yeah.
I think we can ask a quick question to the viewers what they are going to do for rook c1, and rook into a4.
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. So guys, you have a question here from black side. Swapnil is asking if rook c1 is captured here, then rook c1 and then capturing the pawn on a4. What will you do from the white side? Your rook is on c1 square, opponent's rook is on a4 square. Rook c8,
right.
Pin and win. Yes, correct.
Perfect. Very good. Right, so he cannot take the pawn here because rook c8 and we win the piece.
Correct.
So he has to be careful of all these tricks. That's why I went for this variation. I transformed the position. Now the pawn on d6 is under attack, so he decided to play d5.
Yeah.
And here I exchanged rooks first and then played the knight to c5.
Okay.
Now, another quick question could be what you are going to do for the move b6, which looks very natural, kicking the knight.
Yeah, correct. I was also going to ask that question only.
Yeah, right. So what you can also tell me, Atul, if you have.
Yeah. Think about
So
it.
b6.
B6. Yeah, I got the answer.
Okay, let's wait
Yeah,
for the.
let's see the viewers also with if they can tell us b6 and what will you play. Think knight d7. Okay,
Knight
Shriram
d7
Kade said
coming in.
knight d7 is the first answer we got. And
Perfect. Jasprit is saying knight d7.
yeah, and so Snail,
Snail,
our friend
bhai,
Snail
thank you
Bhosle
so
is
much.
here.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, thanks Snail for joining us.
Right, so after
Yeah.
knight c5.
Yeah, so if b6 is played here, knight d7 will be played and this pawn will be attacked, and then rook c6 if you play, then rook b1 is coming.
Correct. And you know, the main advantage for white in this position is that, see, basically the pawns are like both sides don't have clear weaknesses in pawn structure. The only difference is that my knight is extremely active compared to black's knight on d8. That's the major difference, and that is a game changer. As we will see, my knight will start creating attacks after each and every move, and black will find it really tough to defend against it.
Okay, just 1 minute. I'll just check if the voice is clear or not.
Okay.
Can you speak a little bit?
Yeah. Hello, Atul.
Yeah. So I hope that viewers will it will be clear. And guys,
Yeah.
keep liking the stream, and let's see whether we can reach more people, because Swapnil is explaining his games and he has played really awesome games. So I hope that everybody should like benefit from this thing. So if you like the stream, then only will be able to reach more people, and everybody will be benefited from this analysis.
Yeah. Right. So after knight c5, is the voice clear now, Atul?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, perfect. So my knight is, as I said earlier, my knight is far better than black's knight on d8, and my knight is putting pressure on his pawn. After knight c5, seeing that his position is passive, Nigel decided to strike in the center with the move e5, which I think hastens his defeat because it worsens his position quite a lot. Now, there's a good move that I played. I think we can give another quick question to the viewers. They can guess the move that I played in this position for white.
Let's see, guys. Can you guess the move which Swapnil played against the legendary player Nigel Short here? I somehow feel like we should not exchange anything right now. We should wait.
Yeah,
okay,
but I think okay.
Rook b1. Rook b1. Jasprit is saying. Ajay is saying rook b1. a5 is also one of the ideas. Okay, we are getting different ideas.
Right. So you know that's what happens with positional problems. That there is no clear solution to the position. In tactics, what happens is that there is a very specific solution, and that's by far the best move compared to the other moves in the position.
Correct.
In positional problems, that's not very easy because we have a lot of very good looking ideas. And the moves that the chat is suggesting, like Jasprit and Ajay, so many people, dynamic chess. So all the moves that the chat are suggesting are very good. They are very good strategic moves because rook b1 improves the position of the rook, puts pressure on the b7 pawn. a5 ensures that black doesn't get to play b6, right?
Correct.
Stabilizes the knight on c5. So all these are very good moves, but the move that I played in the game forces the issues and it creates a lot of pressure on black's position. So the correct move for white, which I played.
But I have one doubt also, Swapnil. Like when we play a5, let's suppose black plays ed4, then maybe in the future knight c6 will come and our pawn on a5 as well as the pawn on d4 will be always under attack.
Right. That's why I was not willing to play a5 because takes, you mentioned correctly that knight c6 pressurizes both the pawns. So let's say if I take this pawn, you can play rook a8.
Yeah, correct.
And if I try to defend it, you can take the pawn on d4 when it will equalize the material.
Correct. So this is not something we don't want to give these chances to the opponent when we have such a solid position.
Correct. We don't want to let his pieces breathe again.
Yeah.
Right. So after e5, I played the move knight d7, which I think is very good because first of all, I'm threatening to win a pawn. And apart from that, if now black takes on d4, we are ready to recapture with the rook.
Oh. Okay.
Which will further put a lot of pressure on the d5 pawn.
Correct.
Right. And whenever there's an isolated pawn on the board, you would love your knight to be on f6, not on d8.
Correct.
because the
Correct.
knight on f6 always protects the pawn on d5, but here the knight on d8 is completely useless.
Yeah, and he cannot really do anything about the d5 pawn.
Right. And another important question is, what will you do if black plays e4? There's a
Oh.
very easy move here for white that brings him an advantage.
Right. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
this
Can you
this
guys tell me?
everybody will get, because this is a tactical idea.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Come
Find
on.
the correct move here.
Quickly.
Be quick.
King f3. I think he was talking about f3 move, but f3 is not there. Knight b6. Wow, body mind link. He got knight b6. Yashad also.
Knight b6.
Yes.
Sriram, knight b6. Perfect.
Abhirup,
Abhirup, knight
yes.
b6.
Cool.
Dynamic knight b6. So everyone is answering perfectly here.
Yeah.
Right. So
They,
I think
they
they
say
are,
the tactics very quickly, as far as I know. Like now kids, they are very quick with the tactics.
yeah, that's true. So quickly they found a double attack here.
Yeah.
And yeah, white wins a pawn because there's no way for black to defend both the threats. So here white wins a pawn. So that's the reason why I played knight d7. So Nigel was forced to weaken his pawn structure with e into d4. I recaptured the pawn with my rook, and black plays knight e6. Okay, so here already it was kind of difficult for him to protect the pawns. And also just one quick variation that I want to show is, if he plays rook c4, which also attacks the a4 pawn, if I take on d5, rook here. But now I have a very nice discord attack.
Correct. Rook a8 is not possible.
Rook a8 is not possible, and I win a piece again. So these are some little calculations that I had to do. Yeah, and so after rook d4, basically I win a pawn. He plays knight a6, rook d5, rook c4, a5. So now the second phase of the game starts, where I am a pawn up and I have to show my technical skills in order to convert this extra material advantage into a victory. So here after rook b4, I played a very important move, I think, which was very important because it creates more and more problems for my opponent.
Yes.
So here after rook b4, the correct move for white, which I played, is h4.
h4.
Now this looks like a very grabbing space on the king
grabbing
side.
Space, yes, correct.
It looks like an innocent move, but it's very important to grab space, because if we get our pawn on h5, we can create a lot of pressure on black's king.
And I remember one more thing is, like whenever there are 3 pawns to push, always push the corner pawn, because if you push the center one, then opponent will play, and then you will not be able to do anything about that.
Correct. Right. So here, once I put my pawn on h5, I can also create some mating nets against the black king.
Okay.
Right. So black played g5, and again I continued with my strategy of putting my pawn to h5. Now there's a huge difference in the pawn structure that you can see. The pawn on h6 is unsupported, and it is fixed. It is immobile, so it can become a target. Correct. So now when you have this vision that the h6 pawn could be a target, where would you like to place your knight on d7? What do you think, Atul?
f5 square.
f5 square, correct.
Yeah.
So now what should be your strategy? To transfer the knight to f5. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I started the journey of the knight now. So after king g7, first of all, he covers the f6 square and improves the position of his king.
Correct.
Now I started maneuvering the knight all the way to f5. So knight e5. First of all, there are some small threats on the way, like rook d7.
Okay.
Black plays knight f8, covering the d7 square.
D7, yeah.
I played knight d3, attacking the rook. Black plays rook b3. I played knight c5. Can you play rook b5? Can you play rook b5?
No, I cannot play, because knight e6 check, and then the rook on b5 will be falling.
Right. So some small tactics. So this is how you use positional knowledge and positional maneuverings with tactics. You have to combine all both the things.
Yeah, means your knight maneuvering is basically to reach the f5 square, and you are using small tactics in order to get the knight to the f5 square.
Right. Using small tactics to achieve our positional aims.
Yeah.
So after knight c5, black plays rook b1. I played knight e4. So again, we are completely focused on the journey to f5.
Correct.
b6.
Okay. Finally, he's asking to exchange.
Finally, he has to exchange, because the pawn is very annoying, right? On b7.
Correct.
It's always weak. So here I played knight d6, completely focused on my task. He took the pawn. I recaptured it. Knight d7. So he's trying to maneuver his knight to f6, where he can put pressure on the h5 pawn.
Yeah.
I played knight f5. So one huge part of the plan is now over, that we have a knight on f5. After king h7, now how are you going to pressurize the h6 pawn?
Yeah, with the rook, we can pressurize the pawn, right?
Correct. So I played rook a6 straight away, attacking the pawn here. And there was another simple thing, that if I play rook a7 straight away, attacking the knight as well as the pawn behind it, then black can play rook d1 and block it.
Yes, correct. But what about he plays knight e5? Okay, you have f4, you cannot play, no? You will be opening
f4
up
or
the
maybe rook e7, yeah.
Rook e7, okay, yeah.
attacking
Then
this guy and attacking this guy.
correct, correct. Rook b5 also, knight d6 is one of the threats in the position.
Yeah, knight d6, knight d4. So basically, there are going to be problems for him.
Correct, correct.
Right. So that's why I first played rook a6. Now, if he plays rook b6, blocking, sorry, not here, rook b6, blocking the attack,
Mm-hmm.
then I can play after rook b6. I can now play rook a7 because there's no rook
Ah,
b6.
rook d6 is not there. Correct.
Right. So slight changes in the position of the pieces changes the evaluation.
Correct, correct.
Right. So after rook a6, now I'm threatening the h6 pawn. Black plays g4.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he cannot defend the pawn. So
He basically lost 2 pawns, and now it is easy for you, right?
now it's not so easy.
Okay. I can see one thread is there, and your king it is getting checkmated.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why legends never give up, and no matter how the position is bad, they will find some tricks to confuse you, to create some problems for you, and that is what Nigel does here.
Yeah.
He has a trick in mind that if he manages to take his knight to f3, he can give a checkmate.
Yeah, checkmate only means even
But I
if you
have
are
to be
2
careful.
pawns up, you will be checkmated.
Right. So when I played rook a6 move, I felt that okay, now I'm going to be another pawn, and it's not going to take much time for Nigel to resign. But suddenly he played g4. I was wondering what is the idea of g4? Why is playing g4? But then I realized, oh my god, this guy is not going to give up. I had to be very alert.
They are very stubborn, right? Miss super
stubborn.
GMs are very stubborn. Even if you are 1 pawn up, it's not that easy for them. Like you to
Yeah,
win
it's not.
against them.
They will keep finding resources. And I was watching this Life and Games. So I was reading this book, Life and Games of Vladimir Kramnik, and in that he mentioned that he was winning all the normal Grandmaster tournaments, like normal open tournaments. He was beating 2500, 2600 Grandmasters, but then he got his first invitation to a very strong elite level tournament where Karpov, Kasparov, everyone was playing, Vishayanand.
Right,
And so he played that tournament, and he said that the only difference that he figured out between the normal open tournaments, between playing against normal grandmasters and elite level grandmasters like Karpov, the only difference is that they simply don't give up. No matter how bad their position is, they will keep finding resources.
So defense is like the highest level at the high level, we can say.
Yeah, defense and also psychology, that they don't get demotivated very easily.
I experienced this thing from my own experience. I can say, like, when you lose some material or something, that thought of like I'm going to lose the game constantly comes into the mind.
And that prevents us from giving our best, from finding the best moves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it's very important to have a very good psychological state of mind as well. Even if you get a bad question, you have to be positive and you have to find some tricks, because that can change the result.
Does like some techniques like you need to have a self-talk in those moments, or what should we do? Like this is a problem. This is a problem which is very common in everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Especially at the lower level. So what usually first of all, you have to anticipate that things can go wrong. What we usually do is that when we go for a game, when we prepare for a game, we always have a very extraordinary positive mindset that, okay, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to beat him. But we also have to have a sense of anticipation that things might go wrong. This is finally a sport, right?
Yeah.
So when things go wrong, you have to get into a mode. You have to prepare it beforehand that, okay, things go wrong, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up easily. And I'm going to fight. I'm going to find tricks till the last moment.
Oh.
Right. So if you have this mindset prepared already, that if you get into minus position, you're going to be more alert. You're going to find a lot of resources. If you have this mindset before, and then it becomes easy to switch into it.
Means you will not get into pressure also, even if you have some material down or something. You will be in a fighting mode.
And you can always take inspirations from a lots of swindles that chess theory has to offer, right? There are so many ups and downs.
Correct.
Even world champions, many times they lose winning positions.
Correct.
Magnus has done it a lot of times. So if Magnus can lose winning positions, what we can say, right? About the opponents. So we can always take inspiration from them. And another Indian player whom we can take inspiration from is Adiman Bhaskaran, right?
Yeah, he always plays inferior positions and he wins.
He wins it because his mindset is very strong. His psychology is strong.
Correct.
All right. So here after g4, I had to be alert. So I took the pawn first, and then I brought my rook here. So black plays knight e5. Now here I played rook a5, inviting the knight on f3. But what happens after that?
Oh.
Am I getting checkmated, or there's some defense?
There must be a defense. Otherwise, why will you play it?
Yeah. Sherlock in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, but tell me the move.
Yeah, I'm
You can,
thinking. I'm thinking.
yeah, chat. You can also tell me the move.
Yeah, knight h6 and knight g4 is the move which I can say, like the tactic is there.
Correct. And the knight on f3 will be very shaky. So if he gives a
Yeah,
check, I
and you
can
will
just
be three
grab the knight.
pawns up. 3 pawns
Three
up.
pawns up. Perfect. So
Yeah.
that's why I played rook a5. He played the move f6. So for the moment, he's supporting the knight. And now I played rook a4.
Yeah.
So now again, the threat is to win the pawn.
Yeah, correct.
Like this. So black plays here. I gave a check. And then I put my knight on h6. This
Again.
ensures that black cannot get in knight f3 at any point.
Correct.
At the same time, I'm threatening to exchange knights.
Knight f7.
Which he
correct.
cannot avoid. Which he cannot avoid because he cannot control the f7 square. He cannot move the king from here. He cannot move the knight as well because the g4 pawn hangs.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So here he just played f5. I exchanged knights, and then after that, this was
Okay.
very
This is
easy for me.
this is the matter of technique, you can say. Pretty
Now it's very
like
easy.
it's very easy. Like you have 4 pawns and he has 2 pawns. Of course, this is winning. So guys,
Yeah,
very beautiful game by Swapnil against the legendary player like Nigel, who has played in the World Championship match against Gary Kasparov. And like you just like played very smooth game, I must say. Like positionally, you kept on improving your position, your piece position. Especially, I love the way you moved your knight. Like first you moved it to c5 square. From that, you got it on f5 square. So somehow these squares were lucky for you.
Yeah, right. So I think if you have a very clear vision, like what's the weakness in opponent's position and how you can place your pieces in the best possible way to exploit opponent's weaknesses. If you have a clear vision on this, then it becomes easy to know the exact plan.
Correct.
You can organize your pieces accordingly.
Yeah. So guys, do like the stream, okay? And we will be going further also, and we have some questions like how to improve in chess quickly. Well, that's everybody wants to improve very quickly.
Quickly is maybe not the right approach, I would say, because it takes and also how much you want to improve, that is also another important thing. So let's say if you are a 1600 player and you want to reach 1700, then we can say that even that is not quicker, but we can say that okay, you can reach that level quickly because the rating difference is only 100 points. But if you say that you are a 1600 player and you want to aim for a grandmaster title, then quickly is not the right word. It takes a lot of effort and consistency in practice. But I would say that first of all, usually what I do also with my students is that I try to figure out the weaknesses in their play and also in the character, in their psychology. So if you get the correct weaknesses in your vision, then it becomes easy to prepare a correct plan of action in order to improvise it. That's how Doretsky also used to do with the students.
Means you basically need to work on your weaknesses and get rid of them.
Correct. And I think what I can give as a general way of working is that till the point you are around 1500 or 1600, focus a lot on your tactical skills, combinational skills, and calculation, and a bit of visualization. Because when you solve tactics and when you solve 5 to 6 moves of combinations, you automatically start developing the visualization skills as well.
Okay, cool.
Right. So that's a general way you should try to approach. And once you move beyond that, then you can also learn a lot of strategic ideas, positional stuff, and weaknesses, all these things.
Basically, you should not fall for any kind of tactics, first of all.
Yeah, first of all, you should ensure that you're not going to drop a piece in the middle of the board or something. If you ensure that, if you can guarantee that, then you can move ahead with strategic ideas and also opening preparation.
Yeah. So we have some questions, and before we go to the questions, like, would you like to have the next game?
Yeah, sure. We can set up the next
the Caro Kann game.
Yeah, we can do that. That was a quick game.
Yeah. So we will go to the Caro Kann game. This is you were black in this position, and you can take the control. Yeah.
Right. So I'll flip the board first. So e4. Yeah. So this was.
Wait. I need to flip the board. Yeah. No. Okay. Now they will get it. Huh.
Okay. So I was playing with the black pieces. My opponent is Yuliya Shvayger, if I'm pronouncing her right.
Yeah.
And she's the wife of Arkady Nigel.
Oh, Nigel is a 2700 player, I know.
Yeah, he's a elite grandmaster. He's a very strong grandmaster.
Yeah.
And she's a WGM. And so basically this was, I think, the second game or something of the Isle of Same.
Just to let the viewers know, like Swapnil is very strong player in Caro Kann, and Swapnil, like you have won plenty of games because of Caro Kann, right?
Yeah, Caro Kann games and Benko games also. I think people in the chat
yeah, they are asking for a Benko game because you have a course also on Chessable on Benko Gambit, and I know, like one of your favorite games is like against Alex Sage, I think so, where you gave
Yeah,
up
yeah,
queen sacrifice on h1 square, and then okay, he was just like thrashed.
yeah. So that was a game, since I already showed it in many streams. This
Yeah,
time I've selected a Benko game where I won against another legendary grandmaster, Ivan Sokolov.
yeah. So guys, we will be looking at Swapnil's Benko game. So wait for it. Wait for it. First, we'll look at the game from Caro Kann. Okay.
Right, and after that we'll move on to the Benko game.
Yeah. So keep liking the stream so that we can reach more people and everybody will learn. Okay.
Right.
Chalo.
So e4, c6, knight c3, d5, knight f3, which is known as the two knights variation against the Caro Kann. So here I played a dynamic variation, which is knight f6. At
Okay.
that time when I played this game, this variation was trending very much. So I thought I'll give it a try. Knight f6. Now the main idea is to create immediate pressure on the e4 pawn. And the main line goes e5 because white should grab space in the center with e5.
Okay.
And I centralize my knight on e4. Now the problem is that it's not very comfortable for white to take the knight here, because takes. If you play something like knight g5, I can always have ideas like queen d5 and grab the pawn on e5.
Okay.
Right?
Correct.
So he's going to find it tough to defend the e5 pawn.
Correct.
So the correct move that she played in the game is knight e2, because this knight on e4, even though it's beautifully centralized, can also turn out to be a bit vulnerable because it lacks squares.
Squares, correct. D3 is always there, and knight c5 then means it needs to keep on moving.
It needs to keep on moving, and there's already we can see only one square available for the knight, right? So knight e2, I played queen b6. So ensuring, basically threatening mate in 1 and ensuring that she has to play d4 in this position, and which will essentially mean that she cannot play d3 anymore, kicking my knight.
Yeah, correct.
So queen b6, d4, then I played e6. Black plays knight f-g1. Again, it looks surprising, but
what is she? Okay, she has a plan of playing f3, which I can see.
Right. So that's again the main line, because white, as I said earlier, the e4 knight is vulnerable and white is trying to trap the knight. So f3 is about to come. So that's the reason why black has to play f6. So by playing f6, I create the g5 square for my knight. White plays f3. I played knight g5. White exchanged pawns here and played f4. I retreated my knight to e4. So by playing f3, f4, white has gained more space in the center and on the king side. Also gained good control on the e5 square.
Okay.
White played knight g3, challenging my knight on e4.
So finally, you captured, or you kept it there only?
I kept it there for the moment. I played bishop d7.
Okay.
The idea of bishop d7 is to break with c5 and open up the position, because we can observe that white has played e4, played f4, which has weakened her king's position a bit.
Right.
Right,
like
so
dark squares are kind of weakened around the king.
Correct. And whenever opponent's king is slightly exposed, what we should do is we should try to open up the position as a general rule of thumb.
Correct.
So that's why I prepared the c5 break. And for the moment, even if she takes it here, even if she takes it here, I'm going to recapture. Yeah.
And the knight on g1 still not having the good square on f3.
Perfect. Yeah, correct. Yeah. And also one more idea of bishop d7 is that if white gives queen h5 check, I'm ready to move my king to c7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so elegance.
This check.
Yeah. And there is a question by Abhirup. Maybe you can answer it now or maybe after some time, that how long should we calculate one variation in a classical game? 30 minutes.
See, basically, first of all, you have to assess that. Let's say if you are calculating in a position, if you think that the decision that you make on that particular moment impacts the game by far a lot. So if you think that if I don't play the best move in this position, my position is going to go down, or I'm going to get in a minus position. Or if I play the best move in this position, I'm going to have a very huge advantage or a winning advantage. If you feel that's the case, then you need to invest a lot of time. If you think that there are two or three equivalent moves, and even if I choose anyone between the three moves, it's not going to impact the evolution by far. So for example, there are 2 or 3 good moves and all the moves lead to equality, or maybe some little bit of better here and there. It doesn't change the evolution very much. Then you should not invest much time into it. So it's like you can compare it to a normal daily life decision where you have to decide. You have 2 situations. In one case, you have to decide which shirt you are going to wear today. Okay, that's a very normal decision. Okay, you again have more than 3 or 4 choices for sure. So you have to decide which shirt you have to wear. Okay, that is one decision. The other decision you have to make is which college you are going to enroll in. Now it's clear that there's a huge difference between both the decisions, right?
Correct.
So this is how there are different types of decisions when you are playing a game. So you have to decide. First of all, you have to make sure that you understand the importance of the decision you're going to make. If the decision is very very important, you invest more time. If you feel that the decision is not so much important, you can get away with it, and there are more critical decisions going to come up next in the future, then you can invest less time into it.
Yeah, means basically it's all about the time management properly.
Time management properly, yes. So
As far as I remember, like you wrote one article also about like how to manage the time pressure and something like that, right? But I was actually checking for the article, but it's not there on your website. Yeah,
yeah, it must be on chessbase India website or also on chessbase.com website. They published the article, so you can have a look at it, and that will give you more insights into time management.
yeah.
But in general, what I have observed is that there are usually two types of players. One who feels that every decision is critical and they invest a lot of time into each and every move. They feel that okay, this is going to be the most critical move of the game, and they invest like 30 minutes on every move, which is clearly wrong. And there are some players who feel that they should play fast on each and every move. There is no critical point, they just go with the flow, right? So this is also wrong because they sometimes miss the critical moments of the game where they actually need to invest a lot of time. So we have to try to balance it out. A good practical player is a player who knows exactly how much time he needs to invest on which decision, and that of course comes with experience, with a lot of training.
Yeah, and I have shared the link of that article which Swapnil has talked a lot, means he has written about time pressure. So guys, you can read it. Okay, so keep it going now. Thanks,
Right.
thanks. Yeah.
Right. So after bishop d7, white played knight f3. I played c5. As I said, I was preparing for c5. White plays bishop d3, creating pressure on the e4 knight. So finally, I have to make a decision with the e4 knight. So I took the knight on g3, h into g3. And here I had a choice whether to take the pawn on d4 or to just keep developing my pieces with knight c6. So ultimately, I settled for the development of the knight on c6. But it was mainly because I clearly miscalculated one line. So the point is that after c into d4, I saw that white can simply recapture the pawn on d4 because
right. That
right.
the
So
typical thing, no, that the queen is hanging.
Queen is hanging, but I think I need to ask the chat: should we take the knight on d4 or should we just leave it? Is it possible for black to take the d4 knight?
That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, this is where calculation is quite important, and sometimes, as you can see, even I can go wrong, grandmasters can go wrong.
Yes, correct. Okay, dynamic chess is like bishop g6, but Swapnil's question is like whether this knight into d4 is a good move or a bad move.
Yeah,
right?
Should we go for queen into d4 or not?
Should we go for queen into d4 or not? Okay, people
are saying no.
Everybody's saying no. Actually, it's not. No, it's yes. Actually, you should go for queen into d4. Think a little bit further. Like I know this thing. Like it is called as the progressive thinking. Like if you see two moves, you need to see half a move ahead. Every time we just leave the variation half move behind.
Yeah. Correct. So
okay.
see,
way to go has found it.
Okay. Yeah, even people in the chat, when we see bishop g6 check and our queen is falling, we also feel a sense of,
danger.
We feel a bit scared.
Yeah,
we feel a bit scared. And we stop that variation. We stop calculating why to go into unnecessary stuff, right? But sometimes that's where the hidden gems lie. So here queen into d4 is the correct move because after bishop g6 check, I have h into g6. And if I just see half a move ahead, I would play queen into d4.
Yeah,
because now we can see that rook into h1 is a strong threat, and if it takes on d4, I'm going to take on h1, and you can see that I have three pieces for the queen. So let's say these two pieces cancel out, these two pieces cancel out as well. Then I have three pieces for the white queen on d4. Right, which is a huge material advantage.
Yeah, and so I think that is more than enough. But you did not go for this thing.
Yeah, I did not go for this thing because I, as I said, left the calculation half a move before.
Yeah.
So instead of taking the pawn on d4, I went with knight c6, white played c3, and then I went for long castle. So that was also one part of my strategy, that I can castle long and I can now start creating attack on white's king.
Okay.
White played queen b3. Now there's a very quick question, a general question to all of the viewers in the chat. If your opponent's king is exposed, should we exchange queens or should we preserve the queens on the board? What do you guys think?
Yeah, very important question. Chess wide word is saying something else.
Yeah, that's that's correct actually what he said. But
Mhm.
okay, we'll have that game for another stream.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, they are saying on. Atul Sharma is saying on, and Abhirav is no exchange. Okay, reserve.
No exchange.
Everybody wants to keep the queens on the board. Okay.
Perfect. So that's
Yeah.
a good general rule of thumb that whenever opponent's king is in danger or a bit of exposed, you should try to preserve queens in general, because only when you preserve queens, you can create a lot of threats.
Correct.
So also when you have a decision to make whether to exchange pieces, whether to exchange queens, think about the opponent's king's position first.
Mhm.
Okay, if the opponent's king is exposed, then the answer becomes quite easy.
Always get the rook on g8, means bishop e7, rook d g8, and you can play h5, h4. These ideas
Right.
are always there.
Always there. Always I
Yeah.
can create pressure, and apart from that, c4 is now a threat.
Yeah, correct.
So black plays bishop b5, and here I think I played a very good maneuver. I played bishop e8.
Oh,
Now
nice.
now the idea is that the bishop comes on g6 and then to e4, centralizing itself.
Uh-huh.
Right. So that's a good maneuver because the bishop wasn't doing much on d7.
Correct.
Right. So I played bishop e8. She exchanged knights on c6 because there was always this annoying pressure on the d4 pawn.
Correct.
So she decided to exchange knights. I recaptured with the queen. Bishop e3, c4. Getting space on the queen side.
Correct.
Queen d1, bishop g6.
And finally, your bishop is getting into the game.
Yeah, right. And after bishop d6, p4, rook d g8, bishop
You
f4.
don't need to capture anything there, right? Means you just keep the position closed.
Yeah, because I'm going to play on the king side. So if I make any capture here after b4, let's say c into b3 and try to win this pawn or something, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, rook
because it
c1
opens
is
my
also
king.
coming, and the queen is also getting pinned.
Right. And in general, strategy should be to completely focus on the king side.
Correct.
So after this h5, rook e1, and bishop e4, we can see that in general, in this type of structures, when you have central pawns on the light squares, the light square bishop is usually a huge problem. But in this case, I have managed to transfer the bishop into the center, and that makes it very active and very strong.
Maybe we can say that like it is outside the pawn chain. Like when it's inside the pawn chain, then it is a little bit cramped. But now it is outside the pawn chain.
Yeah, this usually happens in the French structures, that if black manages to get his light square bishop outside the pawn chain, then it suddenly becomes very threatening and very strong.
Yes, correct.
So I played bishop e4, she played knight h4, and I put my rook on g4.
Okay.
So yeah, after rook g4.
Do you have any threat with bishop into f4? No, you don't have. Bishop is on.
No, I don't have. Maybe, in this type of positions, another thing that I just wanted to mention is that in this type of positions, when you have complete dominance over the position, when you have complete control and opponent doesn't have a single counterplay, single chance of creating a counterplay, you should just enjoy the position. You should not try to force issues. You should not try to create some threats again and again. You should just enjoy the position, keep moving the pieces here and there, and tease your opponent. Yeah, that's a very important strategy. So already we can see that my opponent was a little bit frustrated.
Because this bishop is, as you are mentioning about the color strategy, the bishop is have like dark square bishop, and most of the pawns are on the dark square, so it's not moving anywhere. Yeah, and it is behind the pawn chain. Your light square bishop is there, but it is outside the pawn chain.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Correct. So if we can imagine that if the bishop on f2 is on c5, maybe things would be different. Correct. Right?
Yeah.
Or if I have a pawn on f5 and the bishop comes on e5 somehow, then the things are going to be different. But that's not going to happen, right? So here we can see that white's pieces are very passive, especially the bishop on f2 and the knight on h4 is also on the side.
Correct.
So here my opponent sacrificed the exchange, which was clearly not going to work. She tried to gain some compensation, but after bishop d7, rook d5, and bishop b6, exchanging the bishops at the right time, because the g3 pawn is weak.
Correct. And then c3 is also a weakness.
c3 is also weak. So once I get open files for my rook, and once my rooks start penetrating, it becomes very easy for black to score the point here.
Means your exchange up, and you are just exchanging opponents maybe going to be active pieces. So
correct. Because if we delay the exchange on bishop b6, the bishop is going to land on d4.
Correct. Means it's like their weapons will be activated.
Correct. So before it becomes activated, we have to defuse the bomb.
Correct. Yeah.
So bishop b6, and after that, this again was a very technical game and a very easy way to convert the position.
So you won the game very quickly. Means after this, it is just a matter of technique, as they say.
Correct. So after this, it was very easy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think let's go to the Benko game.
Yeah, Benko game. I'll just
as mentioned by
many people were asking for this thing, and Mayur is asking us to play in Japan tournament. Mayur is the one who stays in Japan actually.
I know him.
Yeah,
he's also a very regular ChessBase India viewer, right?
Right. He is everywhere actually.
Okay. Very passionate chess player.
Yes, yes. So just 1 minute. I am just Ivan Sokolov's game. I'm getting it.
Okay.
Just a
Mayur, thank you
second.
for inviting us. Maybe we'll try. It seems to be a bit tough, but we'll try.
Yeah. So in this game, guys, Swapnil is black, and as we all know, like he has created a lifetime repertoire on Benko Gambit on Chessable website. I'll even if you have not bought that, I will even get the link. Swapnil's. You can talk about this game. I'll till that time I'll get the link.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Uh,
So this was my game against another legendary grandmaster, Ivan Sokolov.
mhm,
As you already know, he has been in the elite group for a long time.
mhm.
Right now, of course, he has become a professional coach, so he is not an active player anymore. But at one point of time, he was, participating in tournaments where Kaspar was playing. So he was in that league. So again, I was pretty happy to play against a legendary grandmaster like Ivan Sokolov, and I checked his games and I realized that he used to play only a particular variation in the Nimzo Indian. That was after d4, knight f6, c4. So if I play e6, go for the Nimzo Indian, which was my main weapon at that time. And Ivan usually used to play knight c3, bishop b4, and then e3. So this was his pet line against the Nimzo Indian
Nimzo. Okay.
defense, right? And also I knew that he wrote a lot of books in this variation with the white side. So I felt that it's not a good idea to test his knowledge in this variation because he's going to be an expert in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, why not to just sidetrack all these things and play the Benko.
Yeah.
So whenever
And
I think,
Ivan has like as you mentioned this thing like about this E3, he has a book also, right?
yeah, he has a book on Nimzo Indian with this
Yeah,
variation.
with this particular E3 variation only.
Right. So whenever you are in doubt, whenever your opponent is well prepared in the main lines, it's better to try the Benko Gambit, and that's what I did in this game. After c4, I played c5, d5. I think I also played a Benko Gambit game against you, Atul. I think long back.
Miss two or three times I think we have played.
Or,
Two times.
yeah, we
Two
also
times.
played in Katni.
Yeah.
So d5, b5. So the main line is of course c into b5, a6, and b into a6. Grab the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
Then play knight f3, knight c3, and then e4. So that's the main line nowadays.
Yeah.
Where I say it's a very interesting variation with queen a5, early queen a5. Again, you can check the chessable reporter.
Yeah, I have given the link for the viewers to buy the course also in the chat. Guys,
Thank you so much.
You can buy the course which Swapnil has done related to the Benko Gambit.
Right, and also there is a short and sweet version, which is a free version, the preview of the course, so they can also go through it.
Yeah.
So that's the main line, c into b5 followed by b into a6. But in the game, Ivan played the move queen c2. Now that's a very solid option. The idea is not so much to support the c4 pawn, but to get in the e4 pawn.
And he is not actually going for your sacrificed pawn.
Yeah, he's not going. He just want to play a very positional game, a very strategic game. Now, not try to win the pawn immediately in the opening.
Correct.
So here I took the pawn on c4. White plays e4. Now he wants to recapture the pawn with his bishop. Now before white gets all his pieces in the center with bishop c4, knight c3, knight f3, and then just castle. Before he gets his pieces in the center, it's better to strike in the center quickly with e6.
Oh,
that's what I did.
Interesting.
Right. So at least what happens is that after bishop c4 takes, we at least isolate his pawn on d5. Right, and slowly we can create pressure against the d5 pawn.
Means we can play sometimes like d6, bishop b7, and put pressure on d5 pawn in future.
d5 pawn. Another thing is to transfer the knight to b6, creating pressure.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So e5, I played bishop e7, knight f3, short castle. So all standard moves. I played d6. As I mentioned earlier, that's the main plan.
Yeah, correct.
h3, because d6 also had the plan of activating the bishop on g4 and then transferring the bishop to g6, attacking the queen.
Okay. Because
right, so
the f5 square is not there for the bishop, so it cannot really go there.
Right. I mean, ideally, I would love to put my bishop on f5.
Yeah.
But since the queen is already sitting here, we have to find alternative routes. So here, after d6, he played h3, a good prophylactic move covering the g4
There
square.
is a question like, was g6, bishop g7 too slow?
Like instead of e6. No, that is completely possible. It is completely possible. That is another way of playing. So in Benko, you can always play in that style of d6, g6, bishop g7, short castles. That is a very standard way of playing. But the approach that I went for in this game with e6, e into d5, that is a more modern approach, trying to play in the center.
Trying to play more dynamic in a way.
more dynamic, right?
And
More,
your
more in-
opponent is kind of older than you, so maybe you wanted to go into the dynamic chess rather than going into the positional stuff.
right, because he knows exactly what plans to play in that strategic positions. So I thought it's better to create some imbalance.
Correct, correct.
Right, so d6, h3, knight d7. The idea is to play knight b6. So
Mhm.
knight c3, knight b6, creating pressure on both the d5 pawn as well as the c4 bishop.
Mhm.
White plays b3. He doesn't really care giving up the bishop for the knight because his pawn is going to land on c4, which stabilizes his
So d5
central pawn
pawn, yeah,
structure.
correct.
Right. So I played rook b8 because the rook is going to be useful on the b file sooner or later after I exchange on c4.
Yeah.
So he plays bishop f4. I take on c4, and then I played rook b4. So now this, I think from here on,
Mhm.
he somehow started outplaying me because he exactly know what he wanted in this position.
Mhm.
And I try to create. I also had a clear plan to create pressure on the c4 pawn and create some play along the b file, but
Mhm.
it somehow didn't work. So
Okay.
now you will see his experience coming into action,
Action.
and he started outplaying me. Okay, so I
Mhm.
was a bit frustrated after a few moves. So after knight d2, first of all, I defended this pawn. I played bishop a6, challenging it again. He
Mhm.
played a3, kicking my rook. So this is the first point where I had to move my pieces back.
Correct.
I played rook b6. He played rook fe1, bringing the rook on the e
And now
file.
the bishop on e7 is feeling the hit, you can say, a little bit.
Yeah, because if he gets, let's say, if he doubles the rook here, then this bishop is going to experience problems.
Mhm.
It has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I played rook e8, queen a4. Again, the queen has been activated, creating pressure along the a file as well as e8 rook.
Correct. Means
Bishop
the thing
f8.
is like always you have to be careful about supporting the rook quite well, because two are attacking, rook as well as the queen.
Right, there could be tactics at any point.
Mhm.
So I played bishop f8 and he played knight d4. So
Mhm.
he's not willing to exchange rooks right now because he had a clear plan that he can actually double on the e file, create more pressure, and then also transfer the rooks on the king side.
Mhm.
So that's why he was not exchanging rooks. So I exchanged knights on e4. And can you guys tell me what's one of the white's threat in this position? So let's say if I play a cool move like h6, what would you do?
Yeah, cool. Just to try to escape with the king. Let's see, guys, you can get it or not. Knight f6. Okay, Laksh got it very quickly. Knight f6
Okay.
check.
But I have one more question. Whether knight f6 check is actually the correct move?
Yeah, means I don't think so exactly right now, because queen f6 is coming, and if he captures on e8 with the rook, then the a1 rook is hanging.
Correct. And if he captures with the queen, the f4 bishop is hanging.
f4 bishop is hanging. So you have to be
Things
careful.
are not so simple. Yeah, you have to be alert. Getting the idea is one thing, but finding the correct way to execute it is another thing.
Correct.
So here you have to find a correct way. You got the correct idea, you have to find a correct way to execute it.
Okay, way to go has given the answer, I guess so.
Yeah, that's correct.
Body
Right,
mind
so-
link, some spelling mistake or maybe the typing mistake, but queen e8 is the best move, not queen d8. Yeah, queen
Correct.
e8. Yeah.
Queen e8. So that eliminates all the counterplay. And after queen e8, then knight f6, and after gf6, rook e8, that wins because bishop h6 is also threatened, and this is very annoying pain.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So that is a very sneaky
Means
threat.
very nice trap by your opponent on you.
Yeah, correct. So because h6 looks very logical, controlling the g5 square, getting rid of the back rank problem. But we witness a very strong tactical idea.
Okay.
So that's why I played rook e7 here, ensuring that my rook is very well supported by both the queen and the bishop. I played rook e3, but when you have to play moves like rook e7 in your defense, you can sense already that something has gone wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because the rook is very badly placed on the e7 square.
And bishop on f8 is also not feeling that good.
Not feeling that good. The pawn on d6 is under huge pressure by the knight and the bishop.
Correct.
Right. So I was clearly under pressure, and I was feeling a bit annoyed, like how exactly to proceed, because even if I make a single wrong step, I might find myself under a huge tactic or something. Like I might lose something.
D6 is always under like huge mess. That pawn is like, okay, it's going to fall.
Yeah. So I played queen d7. So I thought at least I will activate my queen, which was very passive on d7. So I played queen d7. He played queen c2, rightly declining the exchange. I played queen f5. So right now I'm pinning the knight and ensuring that I'm not
knight
losing
d6 is not coming. Yeah.
Right. And also at the same time, I'm threatening the bishop here. So he plays bishop g3. I played bishop c8 because there could be some lethal threats like, this check, and I might lose my queen. For example, he can play bishop f4 now. Threatening the rook. If I move the rook, then knight f6 check.
Oh,
Right. So
yeah,
that would
correct.
lose my hanging queen. And in general, we should not keep our pieces hanging. There
Yeah,
could
so
be some
so you
tactic.
just took out your bishop back, and bishop on a6 has done his job, I guess. So kind
Yeah,
of.
correct. So
Mm.
bishop is actually kind of useless there because there's no further pressure on the c4 pawn. The bishop has to come back. I played bishop c8, and he brought his last toy in the game, as you said, rook
Yeah.
a1. I played rook e b7. So I'm trying to desperately create some counterplay along the b file, but it's somehow not sufficient. He played queen c3. I played bishop d7. He played bishop h4. Now clearly there are some threats in air, like
Rook
there.
f3, which I can see, like, which will be very difficult position for your queen.
Right. So there are some threats already coming up. I played h6. At least I thought I'll get rid of the back rank problems. He played rook f3. I played queen h5, and here he completely surprised me. So right now, at this point, we were both under severe time pressure. Okay.
Okay.
He had around 5 minutes or something, and even I had around 7 to 8 minutes or something like that. Because all this maneuvering planning took a lot of time from both of us, and we were under time pressure. So here he played a move that clearly surprised me. He played bishop f6.
Oh, his threat
Yeah,
is very simple. If you capture the queen, will be lost.
queen will be lost, and he's creating huge pressure on the g7 pawn. So he might even take it and then play rook g3, and there are huge problems on the g7 square, right?
Yes.
So after bishop f6, I had to make a decision. I was desperate to find counterplay. So I thought first I'll put my rook on b1 and tie the queen on c3, because the queen always has to defend this rook here. And maybe hopefully I can create some problems. So here,
Means you will like ask him to go back, like rook e1 you can always play, and then queen will go
correct.
back.
Queen will go back from the attacking position, and then maybe I'll get chance to defend on the king side. Here my opponent in fact fell into the trap that I put. He played rook g3, which is again a very logical move, focusing on the g7 pawn. But this is a huge mistake, because black has a very strong move that in fact not just defends but creates a winning position for black.
Wow.
So can you guys tell me what's the best move for black in this position? It's not that easy, but I would be glad if someone in the chat finds out the correct move.
Let's see whether they have, and after this game maybe you can answer the question related to your book about Petrov. Yeah, but after Shreyash, wait for a while, okay? And Mayur also has a question about Petrov.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll get to your questions, just wait for a while. Here black to move is there, guys, and you need to find out what will you play. Oh, body mind. Okay, he's very quick. Queen e2. Lakshesh is also very quick. Wow, they are very alert with the tactics somehow, I feel.
Yeah, I think they are watching your streams regularly, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of tactics.
Yeah.
Queen e2 is the move which everybody is saying, and I just want to ask you this question, like, as you are playing against a very established player, and when you sense that okay, you are going to win the game now because you see queen e2 move, like do you feel nervous or like some anxiety, or you are always very calm, like okay?
No, of course there's some nervous tension because getting a winning position against such legendary players is not an easy task, first of all. And when you admire a player, since you have studied their games from childhood, when you admire such strong players, first of all, it's a great opportunity to play against them. But if you get a winning position, we feel a nervous tension that, first of all, I when I played queen e2 in this position, which is the correct move, I sense that I'm going to win. But I somehow could not believe it, that I got a winning position.
Yeah, that's what I like. I also feel sometimes those things, like when I am winning against, let's suppose, a Grandmaster or International Master, I get a winning position, but after that I feel a lot of nervous tension or something, and somehow I mess up something. And,
so actually that's
means what should we do in such positions when we are actually like, from a normal perspective, like if you play normal chess, then you should be winning.
I think one very important thing to calm down our nerves in such situations is the skill of self-talking.
Okay.
So when you first of all, it all starts with awareness. So if you become aware that you're getting nervous, you're getting excited in a wrong way, and you first of all, if you become aware of that, then you can talk to yourself and you can calm down yourself that okay, since I've practiced so much at home, and since I have put in the work, we are of course going to get winning positions against strong players, right?
Yes.
Without we winning against strong players, how are we going to improve? And strong players, after all, become strong players
winning
when
against
they
strong
beat
players.
winning against strong players themselves. So that's a normal way. That's how normally players improve, and that's how we improve our rating. So that's normal. We are going to get winning positions against strong players time and again.
Mhm.
We just have to be aware about it, and mainly we have to talk to ourselves that okay, I have got a winning position and I'm going to stay completely focused till the end of the game, because many times what happens is that we get overexcited and we get, and some, let's say if someone comes and sees your game, we feel very excited, okay, see my position is winning and stuff.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes. So we have to stay within our boundary and we have to stay calm. So a very good exercise that I usually do in such situation is just calm down, take a few deep breaths,
Mhm.
and focus in the present moment again and stay focused. That's very important. And also when time is less, we don't have much time to
think about all
reflect.
these things, but reflect. No, but the pressure, the anxiety, all those things comes very quickly.
Right. So I think for another thing is to prepare for such situations at home. So we can think about a situation or imagine a situation where we are already winning against a very strong player. We have a winning position,
Mhm.
and we can imagine that we are having a very cool and calm state of mind. So I think that will hopefully reflect in your games as well.
Okay. Means we
With
need to
this,
prepare at home, basically, all these things,
we need to prepare.
meditation and self-talk and visualization.
Right. You can select a few scenarios where, according to your experience, where you become more anxious, while playing the game.
Mhm.
Have those situations clearly in your head, and when you go through meditation exercises or something, you can have this imagination exercise as well when you're winning against a very strong player, and you are sitting cool and calm as if it's expected. Right.
Oh, nice, interesting. In the chat, Chess Bricks means Vinod Sharma ji is there. He's saying hello. And Chinmay
Yeah.
is also there, our friend from Pune. He has been
Oh,
there
hello,
since
Atul.
long time.
Yeah. Hello, Chinmay. Hello, Vinodji.
Yeah. Thanks for being there, guys. So we'll continue with this game, and after that, we will take last few questions from the viewers also, because they
Right.
have pretty good questions, I guess. So
Right. So yeah,
yeah,
we'll take questions after this game.
yeah.
So after queen a2, rook into b1, because white is forced to exchange on b1. White played king h2, that's the only square, and I played queen d1. So already we can see there are meeting threats.
Yeah,
So
Queen
what I
H1.
can, yeah. So finally the counterplay along the b file paid off, and suddenly we can see that black's attack is way faster than white's attack on the king side, on black's king side. So out of desperation, he sacrificed the rook and also creating a square for the king on g3.
Correct.
I took here and I gave a check on h1, forcing the king out into the wild, king g3. Can you guys tell me the best move for black here?
Oh.
Because my king is also under attack, so we don't have time to waste here as black. We have to find a very strong move for black.
Yeah, let's find the move, guys. I'm also thinking about the move. And let's see, because knight f6 is one of the interesting threats from white side, which I can see. And thank you, Ankit bhai, for such a nice message. Like, Swapnil is so humble, feels good to hear him out. Thank you, Ankit bhai.
Hello, Pari. Thank you so much, Ankit.
Yeah.
Himang Ghosh, yeah, Black Lotus with it is
Brand
publicizing
ambassador.
Black, yeah, brand ambassador of Black Lotus.
Bishop h3, some people are saying Harshal, then okay, Shaurya is saying Queen d1, Lakshesh is saying Bishop h3, Bodymind Bishop h3, Chinmay, I guess
saying
Rook g1, okay.
Yeah, basically, yeah, Bishop h3, Himang.
But Rook g1, what is the like thing? Can you just explain also?
Rook g1 is possible, but I think I have to be aware of knight f6 check, king into g7, knight into d7 check.
Yeah. And then
I'm not
king
sure.
King g8 is the only answer, or king h7
let's
is
say, so let's say after knight f6, so I'll just
okay,
put arrows on the board.
Can you play also? Maybe don't need to play.
Let's say rook g1. Okay, let's say rook g1, knight f6 check, king here, knight d7 check, king here. And even if white plays some cool move like queen f3, what are my people doing here?
Right, correct. Means they don't have any threat.
Right, like there could be variations where knight f6 check might also work, playing against the king. But even after queen f3, defending the g2 pawn, these people are looking stupid here, right?
Yeah, means white always have queen g4, queen f5, and draw is always there.
Yeah, that's always annoying. So again, I have to regroup my pieces and it may not work. Correct. So rook g1 is a good suggestion, first of all, because that's the first move that comes to mind. But as I said earlier, we don't have time to waste. White is threatening knight f6 check, so it's very important for us to open up the game, expose white's king as quickly as possible, and that's why bishop h3 is the correct move for black.
Yeah.
So sacrificing the bishop in order to distract the g2 pawn, and that will open up the g file. I can bring in my rook and start creating threats. So here after bishop h3, my opponent took the h6 pawn. So he's also creating counter threats, checkmate in 1.
Yeah, correct.
So I took
But
the
you
pawn on
also
g2.
have the check, no? Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, right. So queen g2 check.
King h4 is a checkmate in 1. So king f4 is the only answer. Yeah.
King h4, queen g4 mate. So king h4, he has to run away with the king. And here again, he has some annoying threats like knight f6 check. I had to go in the corner and then he can give some discovered checks, right? You know, this check,
Correct.
this check, this check.
Yeah.
So that was very annoying. So I thought I'll create another square for my king on f7 this time by playing the move f5.
You are attacking the knight also.
Yeah, attacking the knight as well as creating a very important square. Knight f6 check, king f7. Now my king is quite safe here. And this is what I thought until he played the next move, queen e3. Now again, he's creating threats here. So again, he's creating threats here and we are playing on seconds. I was so annoyed. So I thought at least I'll repeat once with queen h2.
Okay.
King here, queen j2, king. So here actually,
if he comes king f4, then what was your idea?
I clearly forgot what I was intending to do here.
Queen
but
e6
I had seen
is
some
the...
idea.
King g6, what do you think?
King g6, queen e8 check. Does that work?
h6 or f...
h6, queen h8 check and queen g8 check. Not very sure
but
about
f6
it. So
is also falling in that case, right?
Yeah, f6 is falling in that case. So let's say if I play king g6 here.
Why? Yeah, king f6, just to let the viewers know, king f6 is one move mate, queen e6 is a mate.
Correct. Queen e8 would be, queen e6 would be.
Yeah, it is still the checkmate. So king h6, but still it should be a draw, I guess, so somehow.
We have to calculate. So this check, king comes here. This check, king here. Queen f8 check, and it will be a draw like this, right?
Yes, it will be a draw. So you need to find out. King g6 is not working.
So queen e6 check is a threat. Maybe I was going to give a check and then come back on e5, something like this. So check here, king here, and then queen e5.
Okay, you are stopping many of the... But queen g5 is coming. Again, queen
then
g7.
I can take the...
Okay.
Right. Also, there is rook b3 check, so a lot of threats, yeah?
Correct. Yeah. So
rook b3 check is just winning, I think. So it should win because it's going to exchange queens by force.
Correct. And you are exchange up in that last position.
Right. Correct. So here I thought I'll just repeat it once, but he went king e2. But here the finishing move after rook b2 check, the king doesn't have anywhere to hide.
King d3 means check
because
and
king
queen
d3,
will be lost.
Rook b3 check wins.
Yeah. And if he goes behind, it's almost...
Atul, I cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me? Okay. Am I audible to you now? Or no? Hello?
Atul, I cannot hear you still.
Still not. Okay, just 1 minute. So,
maybe I'll check on my end. Maybe there's some problem.
Yeah,
hello.
Can
you talk, Atul?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Is it still the same thing? Hello? Can you hear me now? Swapnil? Still you are not... I am not able to... For me, everything is fine. For me, everything is fine. Like, can you still not hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear a bit, but still not clear.
Okay. It is still the same. The disturbance is still the same. Means I can hear you. Okay, maybe like, can you leave the meeting and come back? Yeah. Yes, please. Just 1 minute, guys. In the last moment, something happened. Can you guys hear me? At least you should be able to hear me, right? Yeah. Now, Swapnil, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, this time can you hear me?
Now I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Maybe some technical glitch.
Yeah.
So everything is back on track. So this is how you won the game with rook b2 and it's a mate.
Yeah, it's a
Cool.
mate, because if the king comes here, rook b3 check, and if the king goes back, I have to f1 check, and it's going to be finished.
Cool game. Means I really like this game. Means you won like plenty of games, but this is very special game to you also. And I hope
Yeah,
like
very special game, and mainly because I was clearly in a worse position, but I somehow managed to swindle.
yeah. Means he
This
was
was
putting a lot of pressure on your king side, but you got your pieces.
right, right. So they also say that when you become a bit older, you miss some tactics here and there. Maybe that was the case with my legendary opponent as well. Like he missed a few tactics in the end. For example, this bishop h3 and all this stuff. But yeah, otherwise strategically he was clearly outplaying me.
Clearly, his rook were like there. Everything was playing.
Yeah, all the pieces were playing. True.
Yeah. So here we had some questions. Maybe we can take the questions from the Petrov defense, which is there. Like, what would you say for that? I'll just
Can you
read.
just
Yeah.
read
I
out
will.
the question?
Yeah. Like Shreya said, like I have a question with Swapnil sir that I purchased his book playing the Petrov, but one opponent crushed me with e4 e5, knight f3, knight of. Should we go? Yeah. You can play
Yeah.
the moves e4 e5, knight f3,
Okay.
knight f6.
Okay.
Knight e5, d6, knight f3, knight e4, knight c3, knight into c3. I think so. He's writing down.
Oh, knight c3. Okay, but I think that's the main line in the book, right? He's. I think someone said that
No,
it's
c3,
not given.
c3.
Yeah,
Sorry, not
c3,
knight
right.
c3. Yeah, c3
Yeah,
is
so
not in the book. He is saying, huh?
Yeah, that is not in the book because I think it's a very, very rare move. Like when I prepared the book, I checked the database and I put all the moves which I found critical. So Caesar is surely not one of the moves which
It
can be
has a
termed as
very
critical.
silly trap like check and then get
Yeah,
it.
right. So I think if you just play a logical natural move like d5, gaining space in the center as well as covering the e4 knight, and also preparing to develop the bishop actively on d6, and then going for short castle, I think that would be the best way to go forward, I believe. And I don't really feel that there is any other threat apart from this.
Yeah, and Mayur also had a like follow-up question like, are you going to plan for like any chessable course on Petrov?
Right now, not right now. So basically, another chaseable course of mine is going to come up. It's a strategic course based on the title of the course is Micro Plans Mastering Weak Pawn Structures. So it's mainly going to be on different types of what are the different types of weak pawns in chess, and it will have 3 chapters. One is how the methods of how you can weaken your opponent's pawn structure. The second chapter is going to be how you can hit those weak pawns in your opponent's position, and the third one is spotting weaknesses in your own pawn structure and the methods of improving your own pawn structure. So these are going to be the three. Yeah, these are going to be the 3 main topics in the book in the chessable course. And I believe that there are some books on weak pawns, but specifically on this methods and this topic of weak pawns, there's no one specific book or course on this.
Yeah.
So I think this will be.
As far as I remember, only pawn structure is the book which comes to my mind when it comes to the like.
Yeah, that is basically on general strategies on different pawn structures, but specifically on weak pawns, I don't really find there's any book or a course. So I think this will be quite helpful for a lot of people around there.
Yeah. And dynamic chess has like, would you like to take more questions? 1 or 2?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dynamic chess has a question like, I'm sure every player stagnates at various points in their chess career. Want to ask Swapnil, what is that one thing he did every time to progress and get to next level in your career?
First of all, yeah, I got stuck a lot of time. Like when I was hunting for my IM title, it took around 1.5 years for me to complete my final IM norm. When I felt that okay, I'm going to achieve my norm in the next tournament, it kept on delaying. And when I was hunting for my Grandmaster title, it's already well known that I struggled for around 3 years or something to cross 2500 rating. So I was stuck. I had that experience, and it feels really horrible that you simply don't move forward, right?
Yeah.
But I think one very important thing is the belief that you have in yourself, that you have in it you to achieve that aim that you are trying to achieve. So first of all, you should believe very strongly, very firmly that it will take time, it will get delayed, but you're going to get there for sure. Especially if you are putting a lot of effort into it. So that's the psychological part. The actual game part is you have to figure out the correct weaknesses in your play. If you cannot figure it out by yourself, try to get in touch with an experienced player who can help you out in figuring out the weaknesses in your own game. If you figure that out, then you can create a proper plan of action. And once you start applying the plan of action consistently in your daily practice, in your daily routine, I'm sure you're going to get rid of the present weaknesses and you can move forward.
Yeah, basically you need to like believe in yourself and improve your skills.
Right. Yeah. Basically, you don't have to give up. That is a psychological part.
First thing, yeah.
First thing, that's the very basic thing. And apart from that, then you have to you have to first of all try to figure out the correct weaknesses in your game. If you are not sure about it yourself, then you contact an experienced player, try to analyze your games with him, and create a plan of action which you can then follow and improve your game.
Okay. And Himank is asking you like what is the like what can you do for the players above 20, work chess balance or life work balance, you can say.
I think players about 20, they basically get less time because they also have other commitments, right? Some are doing job or some are doing other
Family
work
is
like
also
college,
there, means many things are
family,
there.
college, all this other commitments are there. So of course, if we cannot compare them to a player of around 9 years of age or 10 years of age who has all the time in the world to practice chess. But whatever time you get, I think it's better you work on your weaknesses. You can watch such instructive streams of grandmasters, and also Atul is streaming regularly on his channel. So
Yeah.
any instructive chess streamer who provides quality content, you can watch his streams, and we can also learn from it. So that is also another way of practicing and learning chess. So
Yeah.
what they can do is they can divide their chess practice into two things. First of all, solving positions, solving puzzles like tactical problems or strategical problems, and watching such educational streams.
Yeah.
So that will help them improve and learn more about chess.
And about the streams, I must say, viewers, that Swapnil has his own channel also, Chess Pathshala, and he also streams there. He puts up some really instructive videos. I have given the link in the description. You can definitely check out the link, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel. I will even request somebody in the moderators, please keep his link. And maybe one last question you can take,
Sure.
about your article. Abhiruk has read your article and he's asking in the last you said that look for similar positions on your which you are struggling, and sir, from where we can get the same theme of required position.
But which article exactly? That
about the time pressure you talked about.
Okay, similar positions. Basically, you see, what I think is that in these days there's no shortage of material. So if you browse to so there were days earlier when books were scarce and we had the players had to work really hard to get the material. Even when we were growing up, that was a real problem. But nowadays in this internet
everything is available.
Everything is available on the internet. You can browse a lot of good websites like Chessable, your Modern Chess. They have a lot of good databases on opening, on strategies, all that stuff. You can look into Forward Chess. They have a lot of good books, quality chess. So basically, there are a lot of publications. You can get the material from all the books and also from the streams that is going on YouTube. So I think material is not a problem, but I think the main problem is consistency. Even if you get the material, you have to commit that, you are going to solve this daily. You're going to work on this daily.
Yeah. And maybe the last question you can answer for the parent is asking, because everybody was asking from a player's perspective, but from parents' perspective, there is my son is interested in chess, but I'm not sure if it's good in terms of giving financial stability in life.
Yeah. First of all, even I used to think the same at one point. But after I became Grandmaster, things became very easy. Like if you compare chess profession, chess Grandmaster or chess profession in general to a doctor or an engineer, I think this is by far a very comfortable profession and much better financially as well. So for example, in my case, I am I have 2 or 3 sources of income, but one of the main sources of income is also a government job of railways, right? So I'm working in railways, and the huge benefit that I get being a grandmaster, being a chess player, is that I don't have to go to office. So they give they give all the facilities to players, top players especially, and they can practice at home. They can play tournaments on behalf of railways, and we don't need to go to office, and basically the salary just comes in. So that's a huge comfort. So let's imagine you are getting around 1 lakh salaries per month, and you have to work 12 hours a day. Does that would you prefer that, or would you prefer a little bit less salary and work and don't have to work at all? You just work on your own passion. That makes more sense,
that
right,
makes
Abdul?
more sense. Yeah, and okay, like I will also say this thing, like Swapnil is a grandmaster, so everything is kind of easy for him. But I'm not a grandmaster, but I will even say like as a player and as a coach also, I earn a very good living, and I am kind of happy even though my rating is not that high. Means I'm around 2100 player and have good experience. But I'm just saying this thing like you can live a good life.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah,
like there are a lot of
means
opportunities, and
everybody is not going to become a grandmaster.
right. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you
Yeah,
become a grandmaster, things become very, very easy.
yeah,
But even if you are a good chess player and you have a lot of other qualities with your chess skills,
yeah,
you can earn a good living. And especially after this lockdown, it is very clear, because chess players, they are streaming online and other people have to leave their jobs and stuff. So
yeah,
online has this COVID has taught us a lot of lessons,
yes,
and especially in professions. I think any good profession, including chess, which you can work with online, I think that's going to be a very good choice for your son's career.
yeah.
So
So
chess, I think you can look forward to chess as a career optimistically.
yeah, yeah. Means we are like examples. One is a grandmaster. I'm not a grandmaster. I'm in process, you can say, still working on it.
Yeah,
But still, I am kind of happy with my financial conditions overall.
right.
So, guys, do like the stream. Let's make it 100 likes. And thank you, Swapnil, for all the information and all the knowledge you shared with us. It was a very great, instructive stream, I must say. And maybe
Thank you
in
so much,
future
Atul.
also we will have some more streams with you so that people will learn more from you. And guys, if you want to directly learn from Swapnil's academy, his academy's name is Chess Pathshala. You can just search that name, Chess Pathshala, and he has very nice instructive courses on his website. So you can get in touch with his team, and somebody will definitely teach you under Swapnil's guidance, I must say. So
Right, right,
you
right.
can even visit his website, Chess Pathshala.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much.
I will even give the website link for the people over there in the chat if you want to get in touch or like learn from his team or Swapnil also maybe. Then this is the website which is there, chesspathshala.in. So do check it out, guys.
Thank you so much, Atul, for the
Okay,
shout out. And
yeah,
it was fun, interacting with you, with the viewers on your channel, and showing my good games. It gives I remind it gives me a lot of good feelings to go back to the same games and get
yeah,
back the
yeah.
same memories.
We have like analyzed many games when we were in Spain. I remember like we have played two times in Spain together. So we
Yeah,
used to
yeah, yeah.
analyze all the time, every day. So almost 100 days we have stayed just analyzing the games and playing games.
Yeah, yeah. That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Atul,
So
thank you
yeah,
so much.
thank you very much for joining me, and thank you very much viewers also for being there in the chat and like being patient and learning with us. So keep liking the stream and do subscribe to my channel, Swapnil's channel also I have given, and we will meet very soon. Till that
Yeah,
moment,
sure, Atul.
yeah.
We'll come up with some another topic for another
All,
stream.
yes, yes. So Swapnil, you just be there with me. I'll just end the stream. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.